Welcome to the latest installment of our Storytime lecture series, where we ask the big questions about the old stories. Tonight's question: where do stories come from? Let us begin by examining the case of the well-known tale, The Little Mermaid. Our story begins with nothing more than the humble walrus. With its flippered tail and elegant demeanor, it may indeed look like a person from afar. If you factor in a bit of vitamin C deficiency and 6 months at sea with no women on board, you have the vixen of the deep. Yes, the origin for a famous fairy tale may be nothing more than scurvy-addled vision and frustrated lust of the British merchant marines. Let us move on to the story of the Emperor's New Clothes, based on a single historical figure who was not, interestingly enough, an emperor, but a duke. Duke Vichet of Rion, who governed from 1641 to 1658 and suffered from frequent bouts of insanity. The product of generations of inbreeding, Vichet enjoyed parading up and down the streets of Rion in order to show off his large collection of invisible clothing. One French historian notes that on one occasion, a young cobbler's apprentice pointed out the obvious lack of clothing to the gathered townsfolk. The ridicule was so disheartening to Vichet that he was quite unable to go on parading until the palace guard arrived and the young man was summarily executed. Lastly, let us examine the tale of Little Red Riding Hood. Also based on a single historical figure, she was of course inspired by a Roman centurion. Gaius Vorenus, leader of the Red Cloak Regiment, oversaw a trade outpost responsible for funneling food and supplies back to the old ailing Roman Empire. The fort was under constant attack by a band of Gauls, described by the ancient historian Diodorus Siculus as Magnus Malus Lupus, or the Great Terrible Wolves. In a last desperate attempt to gain entry into the outpost, the Gauls built and then had themselves hid inside an enormous wooden replica of the Lady Octavia Vorenus, paternal grandmother to the fort's commander. Romans were notoriously devoted to family honor, and the Gauls hoped Vorenus would see the statue as a tribute and so bring it inside. What happened next was recorded by Siculus, and so from here I will quote his History of the North. Vorenus saw the great ears and remarked at their unusual size, for they were in fact doors through which the Gauls meant to leap out and attack. Vorenus saw the great eyes and exclaimed, "What great eyes they be!" For they were in fact shields meant to protect the Gauls from boiling oil. Vorenus saw the great mouth and spoke thusly, "What large teeth it has!" For they were in fact arrow loops through which the Gauls intended to rain death upon the Romans. Deciding in the end that it did not truly resemble his grandmother, Vorenus took the whole affair as an insult and ordered the statue burned to the ground. And so, Little Red Riding Hood was born. Join us next week when our lecture will feature the case of Rumpelstiltskin. Can you spin straw into gold? No, you cannot.